Shalom, shalom, shalom. All right, we're gonna start off with this World War III. Jacob's trouble is here. Bible prophecy in the end times. Prophecies are jumping off the pages. First of all, we're gonna give all praise and glory and honor to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rekakadash. Yahweh been the name of the Heavenly Father. Yahweh Shai been the name of His only begotten Son, who they ignorantly call Jesus Christ. Now we're going to start it off with that Jeremiah 28:8. It says, the prophets that have been before me and before thee of old prophesied both against many countries and against great kingdoms of war and of evil and of pestilence. That World War III and that Jacob's trouble is going to be focused on Babylon the Great, America. This is where the war is being raged on. See, it's not a war against no religion, man. It's Russia and America, NATO and America. See, the European Union, the Europeans are united. The so-called white man is united. They not no, oh, they different peoples. I didn't have nothing to do with it. Nope, you united. Y'all one people. And they united under the American Empire. Now let's go and get that in Revelation to set the foundation. This is Revelation 17. It says, I want to start with verse 3. It says, so he carried me away in the spirit into the wilderness. And I saw a woman sit upon a scarlet colored beast. See, that woman is talking about Babylon the Great, America. And the beast is the European Union, the Edomite nation. See, the United Nation of the Edomites. It says, full of names of blasphemy. See, they like using a bunch of lies. See, they want to call themselves all kind of names, which is a lie. They calling the Lord a false name, calling his son a false name. See, they calling the Israelites false names. You can't believe none of the names that they putting on anything. You can't follow that crap because it's a lie. It says, full of names of blasphemy, having 7 heads and 10 horns. See, and that 10 horns is all through the scripture. You got Daniel. Let's go into Daniel real quick to show how this is talking about that 4th kingdom. This is Daniel chapter 2. I'm going to get Daniel chapter 2 and 40, then jump to Daniel chapter 7. This is Daniel 2 and 40. It says, the 4th kingdom shall be strong as iron. See, this is talking about the EU, the European Union. For as much as iron breaketh into pieces and subdue all things. So that iron supposed to represent somebody that can subdue all things. Because there's nobody that's going to subdue the European Union. See, America talking all this noise, but they needed the European Union to be the world power. See, that's why they was riding on the beast. They needed to ride on the beast. It says, and as iron that breaketh all things, shall it break into pieces and bruise. So let's jump over to Daniel 7. Daniel 7, and I'm going to get right to the point. In verse 23, it says, thus he said, the 4th beast shall be the 4th kingdom upon the earth, which shall be diverse from all kingdoms, and shall devour the whole earth, and shall tread it down and break it into pieces. See, and they want to talk about, when we bring out that Esau is the end of the world, they want to talk about some Arabs. See, Esau ain't, the Arabs ain't controlling nothing. Verse 24 it says, and the 10 horns out of this kingdom are 10 kings. See, NATO, the EU. It says, that shall arise, and another shall arise after them, and he shall be diverse from the first, and he shall subdue 3 kings. So this is talking about all the way from the when the Greeks and the Romans, they call it Greco-Roman Empire, which it was just an Edomite empire. See, with Herod being an Edomite, the Romans being Edomite, Alexander the Great, the Macedonians being Edomites. See, Haman was a Macedonian, and he was an Edomite. See, and he was connected to Amalek, Agag, the top tribe of the Edomites. See, when the Amalekites was dealing with King Saul, Ammon and the Greeks, and then Alexander the Great, and now that they turned into the Romans, all of them was Edomites. It says, and all you gotta do is look up the Herodian dynasty, and you will see that these was Edomites. Now, when you go into this American situation, let's certify it with 2nd Ezra 11. It's 2nd Ezra 11, starting with verse, let's see here, verse 5. It says, moreover, I behold, and lo, the eagle flew with her feathers and reigned upon the earth and over them that dwell therein. Okay, so this 4th kingdom is described as the eagle. That's why America has the bald eagle. This is the 2nd Ezra 11 and 40. It says, and the 4th came and overcame all the beasts that were passed. See, same thing what it was saying in Daniel chapter 2. And had power over the world with great fearfulness, and over the whole compass of the earth with much wicked oppression. And so long time dwelt he upon the earth with deceit. So that goes along with that Revelation 17 and 3. See, they full of names of blasphemy. See, telling a bunch of lies, putting out false names, trying to confuse people. Now, this is 2nd Ezra 12 and 11. It said, the eagle who you saw come up out of the sea is the kingdom which was seen in the vision of your brother Daniel. So the scriptures show you how this eagle, this American empire that's sitting on top of the other eagles, the European Union and the NATO, these are what we seeing in the scriptures. Now back to Revelation 17. It's Revelation 17 and 12. It says, and the 10 horns which you saw are 10 kings. This is what Daniel 7 and 24 said. Which have received no kingdom as yet, but received power as kings, 1 hour with the beast. Okay, and have one mind. These have one mind, and shall give their power and strength unto the beast. So the beast and the whore has one mind. They gonna put their mind together, okay, and they gonna be ruling the world as that 4th kingdom with their symbols of the eagle on their flags. See, you got it on the dollar, the quarter, all of the coins and the currency, and then you got it on their flag. They got an eagle at the top of the flag. Okay, look at verse 18. It says, and the woman which you saw is that great city which reigned over the kings of the earth. See, this is what 2nd Ezra saw. When Ezra saw this eagle reigning over the kings of the earth, reigning on all of the people that dwell on the earth. See, that 4th kingdom, which is made out of iron, which is to subdue all people. Okay, and so this is where World War III is gonna be happening. And let's get into it. You got Revelation 16. Don't start at verse. Let's start at verse 12. It says, "And the sixth angel poured out his vial." Salaki. Tell you what. Let's start at verse 1 because a lot of people get this confused and they want to talk about the devil is busy, which and they mainly trying to say it's a fallen angel. The fallen angels is busy, but you're a fallen angel lie. This is Revelation 16 verse 1. It says, "And I heard a great voice out of the temple saying to the seven angels." These are not no seven fallen angels. These are God's righteous angels that's obeying him. It says, "Go your ways and pour out the vials of the wrath of God upon the earth." Go out and pour God's wrath. Go be a messenger of the Lord and give the message of wrath to these people. Okay? I got seven angels that's going to bring the wrath of God to y'all. Seven angels that's going to do the job that God sent them to do. See, they're not no rebellious angel. Now jump down to verse 12. Now we got that in the context. It says, "And the sixth angel," so this sixth angel is one of the seven angels, and all of them was going to pour God's wrath on the earth. Wasn't going to be no fallen kingdom, fallen angels, a kingdom of the fallen angels. See? It says, "And the sixth angel poured out his vial upon the great river Euphrates, and the water thereof was dried up." So you go over there to Euphrates River, it's dried up because the angel caused it to dry up. It says that the way of the kings of the east might be prepared. So the kings of the east is these kings that's with NATO, that's with Russia, China, North Korea, Iran. Who else you got over there? The East Indians. See, all of these kings of the East is going to be battling a certain place. Let's jump down to verse 14. Because it's going to give you it's giving you the context of the situation the whole time. It says, "For they are the spirits of devils working miracles which go forth unto the kings of the earth and of the whole world to gather them to the battle of that great day of the Most High Almighty." Okay, this is the Armageddon in verse 16 that everybody talks about. See, but they ain't giving you the context that all the kings of the east finna fight or have a battle. Who are they gonna battle? Look at verse 19. So the kings of the east is gonna be battling something. Verse 19, to get right to the point, it says, "And the great city." So now the kings of the east is gonna be fighting against the great city. The kings of the east is gonna be given the great wrath of the God. They're gonna be bringing the wrath of God until the great city. It says, "And the great city was divided into three parts, and the cities of the nations fell, and great Babylon came into remembrance before the Most High to give unto her the cup of the wine of the fierceness of his wrath." So these seven angels and the sixth angel is going to bring the kings of the east to Babylon the Great, America. See, it's going to bring them over here and call, in verse 18 say, these kings of the east is going to cause a great earthquake. Okay, they're going to cause a great earthquake. Let me read verse 18. It says, "And there were voices, thunders, and lightning, and there was a great earthquake, such as was not since men were upon the earth, so mighty an earthquake and so great." So the kings of the east was going to bring an earthquake to Babylon the Great, America. See, it says, verse 20, and every island fled away, and the mountains was not found. So now you got the kings of the east making some kind of earthquake in Babylon the Great. That's not on the east, that's on the west. See, but let's get verse 20 to see how this earthquake is gonna happen. How are the kings of the east gonna fight against, have a battle with Babylon the Great? It says here, it says, and there fell upon men, this is verse 21, Revelation 16 and 21, and fell upon men a great hail out of heaven. So it's going to be hail coming down out of heaven. But the kings of the east is going to be controlled by this sixth angel, okay, and these 7 angels, because they're going to be bringing the wrath of, the fierceness of his wrath, the wrath of God. They're going to be bringing that to Babylon the Great. Okay, it says, verse 21, and there fell upon men a great hail out of heaven, every stone about the weight of a talent. Men blaspheming the Most High because of the plague of the hail, for the plague thereof was exceedingly great. And so this plague was caused by the king of the east, which was being controlled by the 7 angels. Now let's go into Joel to see what was going on with that situation, because Joel prophesied about this thing happening. And John the Revelator, the only thing he doing is he's obeying Isaiah 8 and 20 to the law and to the testimony. If they speak not according to this word, it is because there's no light in them. So he was speaking according to prophecy, Bible prophecy. John was just reiterating what the prophets had already laid down, and then Joel laid it down almost the best. And he uses the same terminology as Jehoshaphat. This is Joel 3 and 2. It says, I will also gather all nations and will bring them down into the valley of Jehoshaphat, and will plead with them there for my people and my heritage Israel, who they have scattered among the nations and have parted my land. So this is the context of the situation. He's gathering these nations because they're gonna fight. He's gonna war with these nations. Look what he called them in verse 9. He says, proclaim ye this among the Gentiles, prepare war, wake up the mighty men, let all the men of war draw near, let them come up. So the kings of the east is going to be these Gentiles that he's gathering together. Now the kings of the east, they're going to be being gathered together, but look at what they're doing. Verse 10, it says, beat your plowshares into swords. So these kings of the east, these Gentiles, is going to be making weapons. See, a sword is a weapon. It says your pruning hooks into spears. So turn your pruning hooks into spears, meaning another weapon that can fly. So not just a sword, but you got a weapon that you can throw and it can fly. It says, let the weak say I am strong. Verse 11. This is Joel 3 and 11. Assemble yourselves and come all you heathen, and gather yourselves together round about. That's what he's saying, all nations. He's going to gather all nations into the valley of Jehoshaphat. See, he's going to gather all nations into, Armageddon. Verse, I didn't finish verse 11. He says, thither calls your mighty ones to come down, O Yahweh. So that mighty one, when you go into that translation, it can mean mighty kingdoms. See, he's going to call the mighty kingdom to come down. What? Babylon the Great. See, Babylon the Great, America. These heathens on the east, the kings of the east, is going to be gathered together to throw missiles over here to Babylon the Great America. Verse 12, it says, let the heathen be awakened and come up to the valley of Jehoshaphat, for there will I sit to judge all the heathen round about. So the heathen is going to go create weapons to destroy Babylon the Great. Now, let me link that up with the Babylon that Apostle John is talking about. He's not talking about ancient Babylon. He's talking about this Babylon in Jeremiah 50 and 33. He says, thus says Yahweh of armies, the children of Israel and the children of Judah were oppressed together, and all that took them captives held them fast. They refused to let them go. See, this is the whole point. He's going to go to war with the Gentiles for the Israelites, because they got the Israelites in captivity and they refuse to let them go. You see, that's why it's Jacob's trouble. See, World War III and Jacob's trouble go hand in hand, because he's fighting World War III for Jacob. See, because they refuse to let Jacob go. And he's going to destroy the place where they got him in. When you go back to verse 1, it says, this Jeremiah 50 and 1, the word that the Lord spake against Babylon. So Babylon has the Israelites, the northern kingdom and the southern kingdom, in the captivity. Babylon the Great. You see, and he's going to destroy Babylon the Great. Look at verse 40. It says, in Jeremiah 50 and 40, as the Most High overthrew Sodom and Gomorrah and the neighboring cities thereof, says Yahweh, so shall no man abide there, neither shall any son of man dwell therein. Okay. And yeah, let me keep going with 41 and 42. He says, behold, a people shall come up from the north, and a great nation. See, they're going to be led by Russia. Russia going to be that kingdom that's going to come up and lead all of the other kingdoms. That's Ezekiel 38. Russia going to be leading all these kingdoms. It says, and many kings shall raise up from the coast of the earth. So the kings of the east is going to join Russia in fighting against America. Verse 42, it says, they shall hold the bow and the lance. They are cruel. They will not show mercy. Their voice shall roar like the sea, and they shall ride upon horses, every one put in array like a man to the battle against you, O daughter of Babylon. So this is talking about Babylon the Great, or future Babylon. This is not talking about ancient Babylon. The daughter of Babylon represents a future Babylon. And they're going, the kings of the east, the 7 angels is going to cause the kings of the east to shoot these bow and the lance until these people in America, the great eagle. And I'm going to go get some more on that eagle. But let's go up to verse 9 to break down what he's talking about in verse 41. It's Jeremiah 50 and 9. It says, but lo, I will raise and cause to come up against Babylon an assembly of great nations from the north country. Ancient Babylon, no assembly of great nations came together. It was just the Persians. The Medes and the Persians went after Babylon, and the kingdom was translated. They didn't shoot no missiles. They didn't shoot a bunch of weapons with fire on them and all this crap. They didn't shoot bow and arrows and take over Babylon. That never happened. It says, assembly of great nations from the north country, and they shall set themselves in array against her. From thence she shall be taken. Their arrows, see, that's that bow in the land. These nuclear missiles. Their arrows shall be as of a mighty expert man. None shall return in vain. So none of these missiles is going to return in vain. See, when they shoot them, they're going to explode and blow this place up. This is what Revelation is talking about. That great city is going to be attacked by these kings of the east. This verse 14, Jeremiah 50 and 14. Put yourselves in array against Babylon round about. And this is what he was saying in Joel 3. See, gather yourselves together because I got a job for y'all to do. It says, all ye that bend the bow, shoot at her. Spare no arrows, for she have sinned against the Lord. See, how did she sin against the Lord? Have the northern and southern kingdom in captivity and refuse to let them go. Because they got evidence and they being told on a daily basis, day and night, that the children of Israel is in Babylon, the great America, being called a color and a language. But they still refuse to let the Israelites go. So I want to get let's see, the Valley of Jehoshaphat. Oh, let's get that plague. That plague in Revelation 16. He said it's a plague that's gonna destroy Babylon the Great, and men gonna blaspheme God because of this plague. Okay, verse this Zechariah 14 and 12, it says, and this shall be the plague wherewith the Yahweh will smite all the people that have fought against Jerusalem. Meaning all the people that have held the Israelites captive and refused to let them go. Their flesh shall consume away while they stand upon their feet. And their eyes shall consume away in their holes, and their tongue shall consume away in their mouth. This is what that plague is in Revelation 16. See, this plague is going to cause an earthquake, and it's going to be like stars falling out the sky. Let's get that in Revelation 6. To describe this plague in a good way that is easily understood, right along with Isaiah 34. Because this is what John is quoting, the prophets. He says in verse 12, and I beheld, and he had opened the sixth seal, and lo, there was a great earthquake, and the sun became black as sackcloth of hair, and the moon became as blood. And that sixth angel prepared the way for the kings of the east. But verse 13, Revelation 6 and 13. It says, and the stars of heaven fell unto the earth. Now, Revelation 16, it said that it was a plague that was, no, he said it was hell. Hell falling from heaven. And that's what it's talking about when it says the stars of heaven fell to the earth. But it's going to describe this hell and these stars. It says, even as a fig tree casts her untimely fig. So if you ever seen a fig tree, it's a bunch of small balls like a cluster of grapes. And when if the wind was to shake that fig tree, these balls will all fall down together. It says, untimely figs when she is shaken of a mighty wind. And then what did he say in Revelation 16? He says every island and every mountain was moved out of her place when these stars and these balls looking things fall out of the sky. Because John didn't have no understanding of no nuclear weapon. He didn't have no understanding of a missile. See, he gonna give it a similitude like in Hosea 12 and 10. He gonna give it a similitude so the people can understand. Oh, we know what he's talking about. He's saying something that looked like a fig. Well, we know what that is because of the Lord. He even talked about that. Let's get that in Isaiah 54. But verse 14, it says, "And the heaven departed as a scroll when it is rolled together, and every mountain and island were moved out of their place." So this is what he's talking about. And 15 and 16 talks about these kings of the earth hiding in bunkers. See, hiding themselves in the dens of the rocks. What do you call it? It says, "He hid themselves in the dens and in the rocks of the mountain, saying to the mountains and the rocks, fall on us and hide us from the face of him that sit on the throne and from the wrath of the Lamb." So because the wrath of the Lamb is causing these kings of the east to be gathered together and shoot missiles over here to Babylon the great city. Now when you go into Isaiah 34, where John was pulling at, Isaiah 34. See, this is where John was getting that whole situation. And John called them things a weapon. See, he didn't call it a plague. He didn't call it hell. He called them a weapon. This Isaiah 34 and 4, it says, "And all the host of heaven shall be dissolved, and the heavens shall be rolled together as a scroll, and all the hosts shall fall down." So John called it a host, an army. That host can go into armies. It says, "As the leaf falleth off from the vine, and as a fallen fig from a fig tree." So see, there go that fig tree analogy or similitude. He's saying they're gonna be falling down, these hosts. And hosts, stars, and army, all of that can go together. But he's gonna describe what this fallen fig was. But because John said a star, that's his analogy. But look at verse 5. This is Isaiah 34 and 5. It says, "For my sword shall be bathed in heaven. Behold, it shall come down upon Idumea." See, that's what's falling down and causing a great earthquake. That's what's falling down and destroying Babylon the Great, America. It says, "It shall come down upon Idumea and upon the people of my curse to judgment." And so that also shows who is running this great city, America, the Idumean. So real quick, before I get into these Idumeans, let's go into Isaiah 54 and certify this weapon. Because everybody in Babylon know about this verse, but they not putting it with the nuclear weapons. They just quoting it for any kind of bad situation. But he's been very detailed in this verse and talking specifically about something. This Isaiah 54 and 16, it says, "Behold, I have created the smith that bloweth the coals in the fire." What does the smith do? A blacksmith make a weapon. It says, "And that bring forth an instrument for his work, and I have created the waster to destroy." The Lord is saying, I created these weapons. Verse 17, "No weapon that is formed against you shall prosper." So I created these weapons to destroy people. I created these weapons to blow up Babylon the Great, America. But see, it's not going to touch the elect of the nation of Israel. See, the chosen elect of the nation of Israel, it's not going to prosper against them. But all of these wicked people that's following Babylon, see, when it comes to sinning against their God, he gonna let this weapon to blow their behind up. It says, to finish that, it says, "And every tongue that rises against you in judgment, you shall condemn. This is the heritage of the servants of Yahweh, and their righteousness is of me, says the Lord." So this is what's going on. the weapons that's being used by these 10 kings in Revelation 17, the 10, not the 10 kings, but the kings of the east that's going to shoot this plague, this hail, and these stars, which is nuclear missiles, shoot these arrows like in Jeremiah 50. See, this is all created by the Lord. He created these weapons. And I think it's another one in 1 Thessalonians or 2 Thessalonians. But I want to get, which one was it? Oh, Revelation 11. Because it talks about this great city again being destroyed. How many times in Revelation is it talking about the great city being destroyed, and it has nothing to do with no religion? The Lord didn't never create no religion. It was these people that created religion. The Lord created nations, and these nations have militaries that's going to fight against each other. They got militaries that spend billions of dollars to make weapons to fight against each other. Religion is some BS that they created trying to confuse people. Now this Revelations 11 and 8 talks about this great city that's finna be destroyed, Babylon the Great, America. It says, and their dead bodies shall line the street of the great city, which spiritually is Sodom and Egypt. See, a bunch of Sodomites live in America. And they got slavery, a major on calling them some employees. You're not an employee, you're a slave. It says, where also our Lord was crucified. See, they create these false religions and try to put up Edomite Jesus with leprosy and albinism and try to say this is the Lord. Him and his father look like them. It says, I'm going to jump down to verse 12 to get to the point. This is what's going to happen to this great city and what's going to happen to the elect of the nation of Israel. It says, verse 12, and they heard a great voice from heaven saying unto them, come up hither. The elect is going to get beamed up. And they ascended up to heaven in a cloud. See, they're not going to feel the heat from these weapons that the Lord gave unto Russia, this Satan 1 and Satan 2 hypersonic nuclear weapon that he gave to Iran, see, in all these countries that got these nukes. They're not going to feel it. It says, and they ascended up to heaven in a cloud, and their enemies beheld them, and the same hour was there a great earthquake. See, it's going to be these weapons that's going to destroy people, and the elect is going to dodge these weapons. See, they're going to be exempt from the punishment that's going to come on this great city that's crucifying the Lord, giving all kind of blasphemies or telling all kind of lies on the Lord. It says, and the 10th part of the city fell. Same thing in Revelation 16. It said that the Babylon the Great, that great city was departed. And not just Babylon the Great, it said other cities was destroyed. So how can this be an empire of false religion? It says cities is going to be destroyed. It says, and in the earthquake was slain of men 7,000. So is it a religion that's being destroyed, or is it a bunch of men that's being destroyed by these weapons that's causing an earthquake? It says, and the remnant were frightened and gave glory to the Most High of heaven. See, this is what Revelation 18, 17, 16, 14, this is what it's talking about. Not no empire, false religion, or destroying the Vatican, Rome, and destroying some Babylon. That's a desert in Iraq. The freaking military base in Iraq, 50 miles away from Babylon, that's probably the biggest thing over there. But anyways, this is what, where is it? This is what 1 Thessalonians is talking about. 1 Thessalonians And I'm going to start at 16 to get to the point. It says, for the Lord himself shall descend from heaven with a shout and with the voice of an archangel. So he going to come down with a voice and tell them to come up hither. See, that's when he called these missiles, right before he called these missiles to destroy Babylon and Great America, he going to pop up and call up the elect of the nation of Israel, who these Babylonians refuse to let go. It says, for the Lord shall descend from heaven with a shout, with the voice of an archangel, and with the trump of the Most High, and the dead in the Mashiach shall rise first. Then we which are alive and remain shall be caught up together with them in the clouds. See, that's that cloud. They're going to be ascended up in a cloud. And that's them chariots that the so-called NASA and the military is seeing with their telescope. And that's popping up on nuclear sites, freezing the whole nuclear plant. It says, to meet the Lord in the air, and so shall we ever be with the Lord. So they going to be beamed up into them chariots, that big mothership, and they going to be watching America being destroyed. And the enemy's going to behail them and say, oh man, there goes the elect of Israel being beamed up. We tried to exterminate them, but we couldn't. This is Revelation 15 and verse 2. It says, and I saw as it were a sea of glass mingled with fire. So this sea of glass mingled with fire is people standing in the sky looking down at America being burnt, being hit by nuclear missiles. It says, and them that got the victory over the beast, and over his image, and over his mark, and over the number of his name, stand on the sea of glass, stand in the sky, looking down at America, having the harps of the Most High. See, he gonna say, come up hither to the elect of Israel. Let's get that in what is this? 1 Corinthians 15. They're gonna be standing in the sky looking down at this place. But when he tell them to come up hither, this 1 Corinthians 15, and I'm gonna start with 51. It says, behold, I show you a mystery. We shall not all sleep. See, we ain't all gonna die. See, they want to try to say everybody gotta die. That's a lie, man. It says we shall all be changed. See, we gonna be changed. A lot of us ain't gonna die. It says 52, in a moment and in a twinkling of an eye at the last trump. That's what he said in 1 Thessalonians chapter 4. He gonna come with the voice of an archangel and at the last trump. It says, for the trumpet shall sound, and the dead shall rise incorruptible, and we shall be changed. See, when we stand on that sea of glass, we gonna change. It says, for this corruptible must put on incorruption, and this mortal must put on immortality. See, that's what's gonna happen to the Israelites, man. See, the Israelites, who are them two witnesses in Revelation 11, the northern kingdom and the southern kingdom, which are the 12 tribes of Revelation 7. Let's get that. Revelation 7 talks about this nuclear mission, and real quick, let me get Jeremiah before I do that, Revelation 7, to explain this wind. And that's why he used in Revelation 6 like figs blown by a mighty wind, because they're gonna be flying in the air. It's Jeremiah 51 verse 1. It says, thus says the Lord, behold, I will raise up against Babylon and against them that dwell in the midst of them that rise up against me a destroying wind. So this is what the missiles is going to be doing. It's going to be like a wind when it drops. It's going to destroy everything moving. Like it's a powerful wind just coming through. That's how it's going to destroy these people. It's going to consume them with fire. But look at Revelation 7:1. It says, after these things I saw 4 angels standing on the 4 corners of the earth, holding the 4 winds of the earth. See, this is what he's talking about, that destroying wind. The 4 winds of the earth, that the wind should not blow on the earth. This destroying wind should not blow on the earth and destroy Babylon yet. See, they're going to hold back these nuclear missiles. It says, nor the sea, nor any tree. Okay, and I'm going to jump down to get right to the point. Verse 4, it says, and I heard the number of them that were sealed. See, these are the people that's not going to be destroyed by this destroying wind. It says, and there were sealed 144,000 of all the tribes of the children of Israel. See, and then it tells you, verse 9, that's just not the only number that you can go by when it comes to this wind destroying the Israelites. Verse 9, it says, and after this I beheld, and lo, a great multitude which no man could number. See, it says of all nations, and that's not talking about no Gentile, because the war is between the Gentiles and the Israelites. The Gentiles is holding the Israelites captive and refuse to let them go. So it's talking about the Israelites that's in all nations. They're going to be a part of that multitude that ain't going to be destroyed by the destroying winds. It says the kindreds, and when you go and look at the kindreds, it say the 12 tribes of the sons of Jacob. It say the peoples and the tongues stood before the throne and before the Lamb, clothed with white robes, with palms in their hand. They're going to be beamed up, standing on the sea of glass, with immortal bodies, transformed, standing before the Lamb. Plus, when you go into Joel 3, they were scattered. He said he going to fight against the Gentiles for scattering the Israelites into all these different lands. And let's get that in Luke. Luke chapter 21 and verse 24. It says, and they shall fall by the edge of the sword, who? The Israelites, and shall be led away captives into all nations. The Israelites, because that when he say come up hither, there's going to be a major gathering going on. And let's get that. Well, let me finish that to bring out the point about these Gentiles. So the Israelites going to be in all nations. It say that Jerusalem shall be trodden down of the Gentiles. See, the Gentiles going to have the Israelites captive until the time of the Gentiles be fulfilled. So they going to have the Gentiles going to have the Israelites captive, and he coming to save them out of that captivity. That's what Joel 3 is all about. But it goes into this one I was trying to get. The Joel or Ezekiel. Oh, the scattering. I want to get that scattering. You know what? Let me get that. They're gonna have these immortal bodies. I want to touch that. This Revelations 12. I mean Zechariah 12. Salaki. Zechariah 12 and verse 8. It says, in that day shall the Lord defend the inhabitants of Jerusalem. See, that's what he said the plague was gonna do. He gonna go to war with these Gentiles and hit them with them nukes. It says, and he that is feeble among them at that day shall be as David. See, when they get beamed up, And the house of David shall be as the Most High, as the angel of the Lord of Yahweh before them. So he gonna beam them up, and they gonna be as an angel. They gonna be immortal. An angel don't die. They gonna be immortal. It says, verse 9, and it shall come to pass in that day that I will seek to destroy all the nations that come against Jerusalem, all the Gentiles, because it's the Gentile time to rule, and they are the ones that's trotting down the Israelites, holding them captives, refusing to let them go. That's why the Israelites begging for reparations. See, they begging for peace. See, because these folks is oppressing they behind like nobody's business. And now it done got to the point where they unaliving the Israelites. Let's get that. Zechariah 11 and 5. Let's get the context of why all this was going on in Zechariah. It's all in Zechariah. It started at really the first chapter of Zechariah with the 4 carpenters and the 4 horns. See, they scattered the 4 horns scattered the Israelites, and the 4 carpenters gonna go to war with these darn 4 horns and free these Israelites. They gonna be a part of the people. The 4 horns is gonna throw them nuclear missiles. See, that's the great nations that's gonna throw them nuclear missiles at Babylon the Great, which is really what represents the 4 horns. But anyway, this is Zechariah 11 and 5. In the midst of all of that drama, it says, whose possessors slay them and hold themselves not guilty. So they gonna unalive the children of Israel, just like Ezekiel 35 and 5. See, shed the blood of the children of Israel by the force of the sword in the time of that calamity had an end. In the end of their captivity, you're gonna have Jacob's trouble, and they're gonna be unaliving the Israelites. It says, and they that sell them say, blessed be the Lord, for I am rich, and their own shepherds pity them not. And let's get some more on this unaliving of the Israelites. Now, Daniel, let's see here, chapter 12, talked about what's going to happen at the end. Even Yahushua brought it out in Matthew 24. But he says, and at that time shall Michael stand up, the great prince, which shall stand for the children of your people. So this is what he told them in Revelation chapter 12. Michael is going to go to war with these Gentiles. See, Michael is going to be one of them angels that's going to go to war with these Gentiles. See, a war broke out in heaven. Not no up there with God. A war broke out in the sky. See, it says, and there was a time of trouble, Jacob's trouble, such as never was since there was a nation. See, this is talking about a nation of people. Not no ever since there was a religion. Ever since there was a nation. And even to that same time, and at that time, your people, see, your people from that nation, from your nation, shall be delivered, because they being captive to the Gentiles. The Gentiles refuse to let them go. They getting rich with Babylon the Great, living luxury, living deliciously with her, committing fornication with Babylon the Great. See, they joining in on the sin that Babylon is doing, holding the Israelites captive, enslaving the Israelites, unaliving the Israelites. See, it says, and your people shall be delivered, everyone that is found written in the book. All of the Israelites is not written in the book. Only the elect of the nation of Israel is going to be written in the book and be beamed up into them chariots and given immortality with those new bodies standing on the sea of glass, looking at Babylon the Great America burn. This is what the Bible is talking about. Not no Jehovah wickedness, everybody going into paradise and everybody being resurrected. That's a lie. Let's go into that Revelation 21. because it's telling the same story. There's Revelation 21:1. It says, I saw the new heavens and the new earth. Okay, the first earth, the first heaven and the first earth were passed away, and there was no more sea. So the first earth, you got to know the Bible prophecy. That Genesis 27, chapter 27 and verse 40. Esau cried for a blessing, and he was given a rulership of a kingdom that was going to be ruled by a military, the American industrial complex, see, ruled by a powerful military with NATO helping them out. Verse 2, it says, and I saw John, the holy city, New Jerusalem, coming down from the Most High out of heaven, out of the sky, prepared as a bride adorned for her husband. See, they done got them new bodies. They done got that immortality. This is the new Israelites. See, verse 3, it says, and I heard a great voice out of heaven saying, behold, the tabernacle of the Most High is with men, and he will dwell with them, and they shall be his people, and the Most High himself shall be with them, and be their God. So this is after the fact, where they got immortality and immortal bodies. Verse 4, it says, and the Most High shall wipe away all tears from their eyes. Why do they got tears in their eyes? Because they slaves. Because they in captivity. It says, and there shall be no, it says, and there shall be no more death. Why is that? Because now they can't be unalive by the heathen. And because Zechariah say they're going to be like the angel of the Lord, and Apostle Paul and Corinthians say that they're going to have be changed in the twinkling of an eye and given immortality. That's why it's not going to be any more death. And who are they talking about? The Israelites. See, what Zechariah said, the tribe of Judah shall be saved first. See, they're going to be turned into, they're going to have this immortality first. It says, neither sorrow nor crying, neither shall there be any pain anymore, for the former things have passed away. What was the former thing? That the Israelites was in captivity, in slavery to the so-called white man and the Gentiles. Let's go into Isaiah 14. This is going to back up that revelation. And I'm going to start with verse 2 to get straight to the point. It says, and the people shall take them and bring them to their place, and the house of Israel shall possess them in the land of Yahweh for servants and handmaids. The tables is going to be turned. That first heaven and that first earth is going to pass away, and the new heaven and the new earth that's ran by the Israelites, that's going to come into play. See, and they're going to be the slave master, possessing, see, these stinking Edomites and these Gentiles. It says, and they shall take them captives, whose captives they were. So Babylon, America, got the captive. But then the captives is going to take control and enslave those that had them captive. It says, and they shall rule over their oppressors. So now the New Jerusalem is going to be ruling over their oppressors. Verse 3, it says, and it shall come to pass in that day that Yahweh will give you rest from your sorrow. See, that's what it says. They're going to not have any sorrow anymore. They're not going to be shedding tears anymore, because they're not going to be slaves. It says, and from your fear and from the hard bondage wherein you was made to serve. See, this is what's going to cause them not to be unalive, because they're not going to be in slavery. They're not going to be shedding tears, because they're not going to be in hard bondage. They're not going to be having sorrow, because they're not going to be in submission to these dragons. Now let's get that Jeremiah 30. This Jeremiah 30 and 6, because this is what's going to happen. It's going to get hardcore out here in these streets. Jeremiah 30:6, it says, ask ye now and see whether a man do travail with child. Is this man pregnant? Who do I wherefore do I see every man with his hand on his loin? See, as a woman in travail, and all faces are turned into paleness. So these men are sitting around so afraid and so terrified that they look like a woman in travail, like they pregnant. It says, verse 7, alas, for that day is great, so that none is like it. It is even the time of Jacob's trouble, but he shall be saved out of it. See, Jacob is not going to be exterminated, because that's the mission of Jacob's trouble. That's why he in trouble, because they're going to be trying to exterminate him. What's that? Matthew 24 and 21. Verse 8, it says, for it shall come to pass in that day that the Yahweh of armies, that I will break his yoke from off your neck and will burst your bonds, see, bondman and bondwoman, and strangers shall no more serve themselves of him. So this the captivity is going to be taken off the Israelites. They're going to be released from their captivity, and they're going to be a new holy city and a new Jerusalem. Okay. I'm jumping down to verse 16. It's Jeremiah 30:16. It says, therefore all they that devour thee shall be devoured. So in this Jacob's trouble, Jacob is going to be being devoured, unalive, on national TV by these ICE agents, unalive by the police. See, it started way back in 2012 with Trayvon Martin. And they just kept amplifying that thing. See, Trayvon Martin and all them other little skirmishes where they was unaliving these Israelites and getting away with murder. It says, therefore all they that devour thee shall be devoured, and all your adversaries, every one of them, shall go into captivity. See, these folks is going to go into captivity. They not going to get away with murder. And they that spoil you shall be a spoil, and all that prey upon you will I give for a prey. Because he going to give us immortality. See, we're going to be changed in a twinkling of an eye. He going to give us immortality, and we're going to put these other nations, these Gentiles, into slavery. They're going to be under us, under our control. Now, when you go into Revelation chapter 2, this is what it's talking about. Revelation chapter 2, verse 26, it says, and he that overcometh keepeth my works unto the end, to him will I give power over the nation. See, we're going to get power over these Gentiles. And he shall rule them with a rod of iron. And as the vessels of a potter shall they be broken to shivers. We're going to break these Gentiles, man, into pieces. Because he quoting prophecy. See, Apostle John the Revelator, he wasn't just writing whatever he want to write. He had the obligation to write what was in the prophecy. When you go into Psalms chapter 2, it gives you the whole layout. It said, why do the heathen rage and people imagine a vain thing? Why are these Gentiles trying to fight the Israelites? And the kings of the earth set themselves, and rulers take counsel together against the Lord and against his anointed. So these Gentiles is fighting against Yahweh and the Israelites. Then in verse 8, what's going to be the conclusion? He said, ask of me, and I shall give you the heathen for your inheritance. So once I'm going to come and I'm going to save you from this whole situation, and then I'm going to give these Gentiles to you to have power over them. And this is what he said. And the uttermost parts of the earth for your possession, you shall break them with the rod of iron. You shall dash them into pieces like a potter's vessel. See, I'm gonna give you power to take these Gentiles into slavery, and you gonna rule over them. You gonna rule over your oppressors, because they oppressing the northern kingdom of Israel, the southern kingdom of Israel, and they refuse to let them go. This is what's gonna happen after Jacob's trouble. See, Jacob's trouble is just the igniter of World War III, and the Lord destroying these freaking Gentiles who've been trying to get rid of the Israelites. Real quick, let's get 83. Psalms 83, that's a must. Starting with verse 3 to get to the point, it says, they have taken crafty counsel against your people and consulted against your hidden ones. See, they got a whole game plan on how we gonna do these Israelites. See, we done strategized and got think tanks and psychologists and all kind of hypnotists and people that's gonna, we got the AI that can help us too, that can make a plan to get rid of these people. Verse 4, it says, they have said, come and let us cut them off from being a nation. See, genocide. That the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance. For they have consulted together with one consent. They are confederate against you. See, the tabernacles of Edom. Edom is the one with the power. They the one that got the military that's controlling everything. They the ones that's got the money, and they got the influence. It says, and Ishmael, that's these Arabs, they come second to the Edomites. See, they don't got more power than these Edomites. It says, and Moab, the Chinaman, he don't got no power like the Edomites. And the Hagarenes, Gabal, Ammon, the Japanese, and Amalek. Amalek is the least of the flock of these Edomites, and they the one in the background controlling these people. See, they're in the background controlling all of these people. It says Ammon and Amalek. Okay, these are the ones that's conspiring against the Israelites. And so that's what's going on in Bible prophecy. These people is about to have a civil war in Babylon the Great America. It's going to end in a great civil war. It is Isaiah 19, verse 2. It says, and I will set the Egyptians against the Egyptians, because this is spiritual Egypt. And they shall fight one another. They shall fight everyone against his brother, and everyone against his neighbor, city against city, and kingdom against kingdom. Okay? So then when you go to, what's the next one? Second Ezra. Second Ezra 6 and 9, it says, for Esau is the end of the world. See, that's the first heaven and the first earth is the rule of Esau. You jump down to verse 24, it says, at that time shall friends fight one against another like enemies. See, at the end of Esau's kingdom, friends is going to fight against friends like enemies. Egyptians against the Egyptians. You go to 2nd Ezra 15. Here in verse 15 it says, for the sword, 2nd Ezra 15 and 15. For the sword and their destruction draw near, and one people shall stand up and fight against another, and swords in their hand. For there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another, and they shall not regard the kings nor princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power. See, these people gonna start fighting against these ICE agents, the National Guard, the military, the police, the security guard, any kind of people that's trying to keep peace and security. They gonna fight against they behind. Verse 17, and man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able. They're gonna have to call martial law. See, we need the troops to come in and help us. Verse 19, it says, a man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword and spoil their goods because of the lack of bread and for great tribulation. So it's going to be all kind of fighting in the streets. All hell is going to break loose pretty much. And in the midst of all hell breaking loose, this 2 Ezra 16 and 70, it says, for there shall be in every place and in the next cities a great insurrection upon those that fear the Lord. See, now that's the point that they get with these ICE agents. It says, they shall be like mad men, sparing none, but still spoiling and destroying those that fear the Lord. They're going to come after the chosen. See, they're going to realize that this was causing all the drama. See, this was causing the drama. Is the chosen is prophesying against us. The chosen gonna get away, and the only way we gonna maybe get around it is to fight the chosen. And that's what goes back to Psalms 83. They coming up with crafty counsel to come against the chosen. They got the Megiddo Project. I think it's called Megiddo Project Megiddo, I think it's called. They got the Alfred plan, the Rex 84, King Alfred plan. See, they got all kind of plans to come after people. They got the law that can go against people of immigrate. It's like an immigration law where if you're not born, that's what it is. If you're not born in America, they can kick you up out of here. So they can come after you like they did the Japanese back in World War II. So they got all kind of plans that's set up, but their plans is gonna be a trap to them. Let's get that in Job. It's Job 20 and 22. It says, in the fullness of his sufficiency, he shall be in straits. Every hand of the wicked shall come upon him. When he is about to fill his belly, the Most High shall cast the fury of his wrath upon him, and shall rain it upon him while he is eating. He shall flee from the iron weapon, and the bow of steel shall strike him through. See, he gonna be hit with them nuclear missiles, man. As soon as he think he done got his mark of Karagma, his mark of Esau. See, as soon as he come out with the mark of Esau and the grain of rice, he gonna try to put between your thumb and your pointer finger the Elon Musk device in the back of your head. So he try to force you to do some crap, which he's already getting all of that into place. See, he preparing the table. See, the Lord say when he's eating, see, he preparing the table, the food in the oven, and the alarm for the food to be done is about to go off. Like they got all these scientists say, you got a couple minutes till Judgment Day. They're looking at all the factors and saying it's a couple of minutes until Judgment Day. Because he thinking he gonna eat, but that's that table that he trying to eat from is gonna be a trap to his behind. Like King David just said, your table is gonna be a snare unto you, a trap unto you. And while you got your fork in your hand and you ready to dig into that chicken bone some more, here come them nuclear missiles, man. But I'm gonna leave it there. All of this stuff we seen on the news is Bible prophecy. and all heck is about to break loose in Babylon the Great America. What it's saying, in the last days you're gonna have great miseries and great death coming upon these people. But I'm gonna leave it there. Give all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shah, Bahashem, Rekakadash. Yahweh be in the name of the Heavenly Father. Yahweh Shah be in the name of His only begotten Son, who the ignorant call Jesus Christ. Double honors to the elders pushing the truth. Peace to the elect worldwide, the blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, the descendants of slaves scattered around the globe on slave ships and through many captivities. Our kingdom is at hand. Shalom.